Alright guys, so last few weeks I've been having this idea. I finally decided to do it, and I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but if you like the video, like, subscribe. If you got any recommendations, drop them in the comment section. If this video does well, there will be a video. But let's get into it. Before we start, I want to add some rules. The first rule is if they already have a realistic job for them, we're gonna find alternatives based off of like whatever happens in the games and who they are, blah blah blah, right? And another rule would be we're gonna try not to like do the same job too many times. So like if I give one character a cop in one video, I'm not gonna give another character a job as a cop in the same video. So other than that, I mean, I'm gonna just try to be as honest as possible with these. I mean, this is not really meant to be taken serious, but there's not too much thought going into these other than like what happens throughout their games, who they are as a character. So if you like, all right. So first up, we have Mario. Mario, no, like he has a pretty obvious one in the fact that he is a plumber, right? So obviously he's going to be doing something plumbing related. I see him as running like a plumbing company. I think that'd be really cool. Mario owning like a little plumbing company. And if he doesn't own if he's not into plumbing or anything like that, I guess he'd be like plumbing adjacent. Like I feel like he'd have like a trade at the very minimum. Like if he wasn't a plumber, he'd be a welder or something along those lines. I think based off what he does in the games, though, honestly, I don't know. He'd just be like some weird ass adventurer. Like he just kind of does whatever he needs to do. So I guess he's cool for that. I could see him mostly as a plumber or like some other trade. But if I had to give a job to him, it'd be plumber. Next up, we have Kratos. Now Kratos is a little tricky, right? I think young Kratos definitely. He seems like the type where he'd have to be in the military. Like there's no other way. He'd be like super into it too. Like I feel like his whole life he was designed for that, right? So I would say young Kratos easily is a military man, and the old Kratos, he'd be like a retired person from the military, but I feel like he wouldn't fully be retired. Like he'd probably live out kind of like how he does in the games where he lives out in the cabin in the woods. He probably moved to like a really small town where like he doesn't talk to too many people. But I do think old Kratos, if he does have a job, it'd be something working with his hands. I could see him as like a lumberjack, where he just kind of shows up, get this job done, and he leaves. He doesn't talk to any of his co-workers. And when he gets his job done, you can't ask him nothing. Like, he'll give you one word response, but it's not like he don't like you. He just like that. Like, you ask him like, oh, what'd you eat for lunch? Food. Some shit like that. But that's the type of person I see Kratos as. I don't really know what else he could do or what else he would be. I feel like, I don't know, this one just feels obvious to me. Like, I don't see anything else he could do. Alright, next up we have Ellie. Now, Ellie, I kind of went back and forth on this for a little bit. I think Ellie is a very hard one because, like, everything she does in the games and the person she reveals herself to be throughout the games isn't, like, somewhat applicable throughout like society nowadays. I could totally see her out there helping people. She know the land. She know all the tricks and stuff. Now, like I said, it's a little hard because it's not like she grew up in a world where like our type of jobs are normal. But I definitely could see her as like something adjacent to that at the very least. Like she doesn't seem like she would be in an office job. She doesn't really care about like girly things. I think she'd want to be outside if anything. And honestly, I don't blame her. Other than that though, it's not much else I could really say because she just isn't the like indoorsy type of person. Like I could see her as like a park ranger. I could see her as like Coast Guard, but she definitely wouldn't be anything like too extreme. I think it'd be like relatively normal. And I think she'd be like the type of coworker where she's cool with everybody just about, but she probably hates like one guy. I don't know. I just see that for her. I don't see anything else for her for some reason. But yeah, that's Ellie. That's Ellie. but I decided to do it based off the life path. So for V, we'll get 3 options. And for these 3 options, I'm gonna pick like maybe 1 or 2 that I think like makes the most sense. Now, the first one, Street Kid. Street Kid, I definitely think, based off of like the dialogue and everything, I think Street Kid is definitely gonna be like a drug dealer or drug dealer adjacent. Like, they don't seem like they have a real career. Like V as a street dealer, I don't see them as like having a real career. They'd probably just be in something criminal of sorts, and it wouldn't be a real job, but they'd be good at it. They'd be like pretty solid at it. Like maybe a bodyguard or something at the best. But I don't see them as anything other than that. I don't see them like evolving past it. But as for Corpo, I definitely can see you working like some office job, but like they get turned on the weekends. Like definitely, V would totally get turned on the weekends. I think V would probably be like the coworker that's like real quiet or real like I'm not too quiet, but like they're not social. But once they get out of work, they like the life of the party. And then that leads us into our last version of V, Nomad. I think Nomad would be one of them fucking like van lifers where they like record what they do on Instagram. I don't know why. It just makes sense to me. Like they post and then they get sponsored or whatever. I see it as that. But I definitely think if they weren't that, they'd be like a hippie. Like, I don't know. They'd just be a hippie. I think V is kind of hard for this. Going in the future, we might not include characters like this for simple reasons. As well, it's not like I can pick a definitive one. There's so many interpretations of V, even in that one game, simply because you can kind of pick and choose how aggressive or how tame they are. But going in the future, we'll see. All right, next up, we got the one and only GOAT, the man, the legend, the everything, Arthur Morgan, right? Arthur Morgan, I spent some time thinking about. I see him doing blue collar work, and the specific thing I picked for him, and I have a second one I'm gonna mention, but I think he'd be a truck driver. I don't know what it is. Something about his journal makes me feel that way. Like I feel like he'd be a truck driver, and whenever he stops at like whatever he needs to stop at, he'd draw whatever he saw that day, or write in his journal like, oh yeah, I saw this cool landmark. Oh, I saw this, blah blah blah. I definitely think that's something he would like. Plus, it seems like he has somewhat of an enjoyment of just traveling and just meeting people. And even throughout the game, like in the very beginning when he's a lot more aggressive, he's not that mean. Like he just seems like some guy trying to get the job done. I definitely think he'd definitely be like a trucker or something blue collar. But my second option, I think a lot of people might agree with this more than the first one, but I see Arthur Morgan as someone who works with horses. I don't know what specifically. Also, I don't know many horse related job titles. But I feel like if you can see what I'm seeing, it makes perfect sense. Because he just seems to like actually care about animals. He cares about like just things around him and people around him. But I can definitely see him with horses. Now, do I think that's a little biased because he's in a cowboy game? Yes, but all of these are biased. So if you don't like it, I mean, that's on you. All right, now we talking about Link. I haven't played too much of any Zelda game, and I've been thinking about playing them. But from what I know, I think Link would be a model, right? He has that like androgynous alien-ish look to him that I think like model agencies would love. I think the only problem with Link is he's not tall. Other than that, like it just seems like a perfect fit. Everybody talks about it. We all think it. But he just seems like he'd be a model. If not a model, he'd be something like, I don't know, because like I said, I don't really know too much about him. If you feel like you know more and he wouldn't be a model, please drop it in the comments. I would love to hear. I do like learning about these characters, but I see him as a model. I don't know what else he could be, and as for like the people, like I feel like he just wouldn't talk. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he doesn't talk in the games like that, but I just feel like he'd just be quiet. He'd just be standing there. Other than that, I can't think of anything else. But do drop down in the comments if you think something else fits him a lot more. Alright, next up, we have Bayonetta. I played Bayonetta for the first time earlier this year. or 2025. I don't know when this video is coming out. I have some clips on my channel, but Bayonetta, she gives me. This one's kind of tough because I don't want to say model again, but if anybody was more deserving of it than Link, it would be her. She has the height for it. She has the aesthetics for it. Everything about her just screams model. I know I said I wasn't gonna do it, but I feel like this one's too perfect. And since I didn't know enough about Link, I let the comments decide Link more than me. However, I think if anybody on this list was going to be, it would be her. It would easily be her. Bayonetta just screams model. Everything about her, she cares about her style. She cares about her aesthetics. Everything about her, she just screams model. If she's not a model, she's some sort of designer or something. So if that bothers you with the rules, then say she's a designer. Either or, that's what she'd be. Honestly, I think she'd probably do both. If we're being 100% honest, she'd probably be both. But like as for the type of coworker she'd be, I think she just thinks she's the best. Like she'd be so full of herself. She'd be really annoying, but she's good at her job, so you just gotta love her. Other than that, though, I don't think she'd talk to anybody. Like, I don't think she'd be friends with anybody at work. She'd probably just be one of them coworkers who, like, people kind of don't like, but at least she does her job good. All right, next up, we have Isaac Clarke. Now, this might be a little bit of a cop-out, simply because it's technically already his job to do this, but he'd probably be an engineer or an electrician. He seems like the type. He is the type, literally in the game. I'm pretty sure that's his like actual job description. And as for a code, like I don't know, it's not too much I can say about Isaac Clarke that isn't blatantly obvious. I mean, yeah, he'd be an engineer. He'd probably be cool with all of his coworkers. I don't think anybody hate him. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so Doomslayer. He's a little tricky because he's kind of like. He's a lot less of a character and more of a force of nature, in my opinion. Damn. So like when saying he would or wouldn't be something, it's a little tricky. But obvious answer, soldier, right? Like he fits that description to a T. He's not necessarily mindless, but he is like a one-track mind, take out all the demons, and he's really good at it. And I see him being like somewhere in the Marines. I think he'd be a Marine if he was in the Army. I don't think he'd care to be anything else. He'd either be that or a special agent, similar to like, who am I thinking of? Forget it. He'd be like a special agent though. He'd be one of those. I definitely don't see him in a career that doesn't involve like some form of combat. I think at the very like minimum, he'd be like Coast Guard or like. And I don't even see him being content with that. Like he'd want action or something, knowing him. But other than that, there's not many options for him. He doesn't show enough of his personality. So as for now, this is what Doomslayer I have to be. All right, Jin Sakai. I'm gonna give an answer, and I kind of feel like it's a cop out, simply because it's technically kind of in a way what he already is, similar like the last ones. I think he'd be like. I think he'd be like from a rich family because, you know, shoguns and all that. His parents are samurai. And he'd be like a vigilante like Batman. He'd be just like Batman. I don't know. It might be cheap. It might be really cheap. But I see him as a vigilante. And I think he'd be pretty good at it for at least the years that he's active. And then he'd retire once whatever, you know, maybe age catches up to him, he gets injured. But I see him as like, his family maybe owns a business, and then like he gets adopted by his own. Similar, it'd be pretty much like Batman, like damn near the exact same. The only difference is I don't think he'd care about killing people. Like if he saw a criminal and they had to be killed, he'd do it. But other than that, I guess he'd be like a beneficiary from whatever his parents did. So he wouldn't really have a job, but he'd like, you know, he'd be like CEO or something, or CFO or whatever you're gonna call it. Or maybe he'd be like, he'd be something adjacent at the very least, simply because of his family's position. But if he wasn't that, I could see him as like an instructor, like a martial arts instructor. I don't know. He seems like he cares about passing on knowledge and like making sure things are right. So I'm gonna have to give him something along those lines, because he seems to care about doing what he feels is right in the moment, regardless of what that means. He is. So I could see him as something like that, but I'm not too like sold on. I really do think he'd be like a Batman type of character. All right, next up, last but not least, we got the one and only Pac-Man. All right, Pac-Man. You're probably thinking like, oh, why the hell is Pac-Man here? It's simple. If he was in real life, he'd be a gay porn star. And you can't tell me otherwise. There's nothing you can tell me otherwise. You could be like, oh, he has Mrs. Pac-Man at home. He's DL. We all know this. He's down low. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you're lying to me if you're telling me you don't believe this. If you watched this video up until this point, saw Pac-Man and was like, he's wrong about this, you're crazy. I'm sorry, you're crazy. You know he'd be a gay porn star. Alright, so that's the end of the video. If you like the video, please like, subscribe. If this video does well, we're definitely gonna make another one. This was kind of fun to make. There's not too much going on with the video though, so I could probably make a couple of these. So drop a comment if you want me to cover any specific character. Drop a comment if you disagree with me. Drop a comment if you agree with me. And please like and subscribe. There will be more content coming out. Also, I'm about to finish up my Resident Evil 4 playthrough, so if you want to see that, it'll be out probably within some time of this video. I have no clue. But I will see y'all in another one.